Shalom and welcome to Lesson 4 of Hebrew Bytes. Ivrit la'at la'at, Hebrew slowly, slowly. We'll start with a blessing. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, by whose word, with all its letters, heaven and earth were made. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shebara et hashamayim v'haaretz bidvaro im kol ha'otiyot. Amen. Welcome back again. Thank you for being with us for Lesson 4. The Torah portion this week is Vayeira from Genesis 18 verse 1, and we will take a look at the word Vayeira means appeared, and appeared, came into view. Now I think if the name is up on the screen, you'll see that the Va is and. You see the Vav with the patach underneath, the little dash, which is the R sound, is Vayeira, and appeared, or and he saw. The opening verse of the Torah portion, Vayeira, tells us, and the Lord appeared to him, to Abraham, by the oaks of Mamre, as he sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day. He lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing in front of him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed himself to the earth. That's an amazing event in the life of Abraham, and you can see in that, or maybe you heard in that first verse, all the words that are connected with seeing. The Lord appeared, and Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked. Now, that in Hebrew is the word there is also Vayeira. So it's connected with seeing, and a specific kind of seeing with intent. And behold, 3 men were standing there, and when he saw them, there's another word from see, ra'ah, he ran to meet them. So the Vayeira here is a perfect example of how the title of a parasha is a key word and a reflection of a major theme that will be found throughout the Torah portion. And there are indeed, we find events all woven through the parasha Vayeira that involve a special form of seeing. And we might get time to look at those later, but in the meantime, let's look at the letters, do some dik-duk. Now you saw before that the first letter of Vayeira is the Vav. Here, the Vav with the patach, Vav, and. Now Vav is an important little connecting letter. It's primarily used as a conjunction. So it's usually connected with another word. So it's always used as a prefix with another word. So, for example, if I had to say, Bob and Jim and Sue came to visit. Bob and Jim and Sue came. You'd say Bob ve Jim ve Sue bao. So you can hear the little Vav joins things together. And by the way, very interestingly, in a Torah scroll, each page of the Torah scroll has a little Vav at the top. Just happens in the text. And that Vav is like a little hook connecting each page of the Torah together. So it's a beautiful picture. The name Vav means hook, so it's a little word that hooks things together, the Vav. So it's very important. In the word, the next letter is the Yud. Now, what do you notice about the Yud? It actually has a dagesh. And what does a dagesh do? It gives extra emphasis to the letter. So with the tzere underneath the two dots, it shows it's a yeah. It's a very strong Vayeira. Vayeira. Here you see the next letter, the resh, with the kamatz, the ah sound. And again, as we saw in Bereshit, the resh and the aleph, this lovely aleph, are joined together. The aleph is helping carry the ah sound. So you get Vayeira, Vayeira, and appeared, and he appeared. Beautiful word. Now, the Vayeira is a verb connected with the word verb to see. And something very, very important with verbs in Hebrew is that every verb has a root letters. Usually they're 3, but sometimes, exceptionally, 2 or even 4. But the majority are 3, a word of 3 letters. And it's always good to go back to the roots. So when you start being able to find the root letters in each verb, that'll help you with doing some conjugation of the verb, or just being able to work with the verb words. Let's look, for example, now the verb that would come from the roots of Vayeira would be ro'eh, to see. But the verb, the root word actually is always masculine past tense. So it would be ra'ah. If you want to say Abraham saw, Abraham ra'ah. So it's you'd use the resh and the aleph. The root letters here would be resh, aleph, and hey. Let me show you on this. Resh, aleph, hey would be the root letters of the word Vayeira, and would be ra'ah, hu ra'ah. Now to get, that's the past tense. To get the present tense, the word would be ro'eh. Now I want you to listen carefully, because Hebrew is filled with patterns, and once you start recognizing the patterns of the sounds in the words, it just helps work with them. So from ra'ah, he saw, you would have ro'eh. Hu ro'eh. Abraham ro'eh. He sees. And there's a number of words with the o'eh. I'm just trying to think of a few here. Let's think of, remember, what did Abraham do in Lech Lecha? He was walking, and walking is holech. Hu holech. He walks. Now, can you hear this? The similarity in sound. Hu ro'eh. He sees. Hu holech. He walks. Holech ro'eh. Now, there's another one. To write is kotev. Hu kotev. To eat, ochel. To read, koreh. To ask, shoel. To do what we're doing, to study or to learn, lomed. So listen to those words, and can you hear the vowels? The cholam, the o, and the tsere, the e, or the it can sometimes also be the sego, e. So listen to these words and see if you can hear. Lomed, holech, kotev, ochel, shoel, kore. So all that you can hear the o e. He, that's always masculine singular. Ro'eh, kotev, holech, ochel, shoel, lomed. Well, let's sing. That's what we're doing. We're learning, we're studying. You can say, if you are a guy, ani lomed ivrit. I am studying Hebrew. Ani lomed ivrit. If you're a girl or a woman learning, you can say now, ani, I stays the same, masculine or feminine. Ani lomedet ivrit. Lomedet. It is the feminine ending of a verb. So I'm going to hold this up, which is the verb lomed. And you have 4 forms of a verb. You have first the masculine singular that we spoke of, lo med. See the lamed, vav, mem, daled. Lo med. That's masculine singular. Hu lomed. Feminine singular, lo medet. Lo medet. Then you have masculine plural. So if you have more than one guy or boy or man learning, it's lomdim. Hem lomdim. There you see the masculine plural ending is im. Yud mem sofit. And the feminine plural, finally, is lomdot. Now, can you see you've got the 3 root letters, or you have 3, the first 3 letters are the same, lom, ed, lom, edit, lom, dim, lom, dot. So to change the form of the verb, it's only the suffix, the ending that changes. So once you've got the masculine singular, lomed, you can add the different endings. Lomedet, lomdim, lomdot. And the root letters of lomed would be the past tense of the masculine singular. So it would be, instead of hu lomed, hu lamad. There are the 3 root letters of the verb, lamed, mem, dalet, and you have the 2 kamats, lamad, and that is the past tense of the masculine singular. So we're just looking at these now. We'll be reviewing and repeating, but just to revise, every Hebrew verb has root letters, usually 3, and we're looking at the verb lomed, to study, and the 3 letters are lamed, mem, dalet, lamad, and the root word formed by the root letters are always masculine past tense. So once you find the 3 letters and just put the of the 2 kamats, you get la mad. So if it was write, just say he was writing, he wrote, would be katav. So immediately you have the 3 letters, kaf, tav, vet, katav. So if you go to the singular, I'll just hold this up again, but instead of lomed, do kotev. So who kotev? So what would the feminine singular be of kotev? You keep the 3 letters but add the et. He, she, kotevet. So if you're a girl or a woman, you can say ani kotevet ivrit. I am writing Hebrew, which I hope you are doing with your practice writing sheets. So you can, while you're doing them, say ani kotevet ivrit. I am writing Hebrew. Or if you're a guy or a boy, you can say ani kotev ivrit. I am writing Hebrew. And then if you had a little group of guys writing, or by the way, if you have a group and there's only one boy or one man in the group, then everything becomes masculine. So even if there was one boy and 3 girls writing, and you were saying it in the plural, we are writing Hebrew, you would use the masculine. That's why most of the Bible is written, but if there's one man there, then it all becomes masculine. But there could be 1 man and 9 women. So that's just so you know that for Hebrew, that if there were a group of more than 1, if there's 1 man, it would be here lomdim, we are studying Hebrew, or if you're writing kotvim. Anachnu, the word for plural, for we, is anachnu. Anachnu kotvim ivrit. We are writing Hebrew. We are studying Hebrew. Anachnu lomdim ivrit. And then if there was just a group of girls, you would say anachnu, we, kotvot, kotvot, lomdot. You can see the word sound changes with the shva in the middle. So from lomedet, you get lomdot. Kotevet, kotvot. So it's just good now to get the sounds and realize that there are these patterns with the verbs, and we'll be doing a lot more, so that I think is enough for today. Well, look now, I think before we do the vocabulary, let's take a look at the different events in the parasha where there is some type of seeing or looking. Throughout the parasha, from when Abraham lifts his eyes to see, as we saw in the first verse, that, by the way, is a very definite form of, he wasn't just sitting at the door of his tent and gazing out at the desert scenery. It's that saying, lifted up his eyes to look, he was looking very intently. He was looking as if he was expecting maybe somebody or something would come. And that's what he did. Why? Because Abraham would always look out for any passers-by, because in the desert it was a very difficult terrain, and he would welcome people and give them a drink of water, give them shelter or food or whatever they needed to help them on their desert journey. And so here it's a very intent way of looking. And that's what he's doing. And that's where they use this word Vayeira as well. That it was something significant, that a way of looking and seeing. Now, the second event in the parasha where we see a similar word is when after the 2 of the strangers, they've eaten and the 2 strangers leave, and leave Abraham with which we think is the Lord with him, and then is having a conversation with him. And the other two angels or beings leave and go to Sodom, where Lot sees them. And if you remember that in the story, it's that same word. He was sitting and looking, and in the good tradition of his cousin Abraham, he goes and invites the strangers to eat as well. So we see Vayeira there in chapter 19 and verse 7. The strangers warn Lot about the coming destruction, and he takes his family and leaves. And what happens? There's another significant looking. Lot's wife looks back against the commands of the angels. She looks back and becomes a pillar of salt. But the word for her looking back there is not Vayeira. It's another word, tavat. She looks, and it was almost unconscious, because she turns to look, and with dire results, of course. Another well-known incident in the parasha. What a parasha! This is all these significant events, but all to do with seeing. God opens Hagar's eyes once she's been expelled from the camp, and she's thinks she's going to die, and Ishmael's going to die with no water. And it says God opens Hagar's eyes to see the well of water, and that's Terah. It was she had nothing to do with it. She wasn't looking specifically or intently. God just opened her eyes. So it's a more passive form of seeing. And included in this parasha is one of the most significant incidents in the Torah, the Akedah, or the sacrifice, the binding of Isaac, when God commands Abraham, which is one of his greatest tests, to go and sacrifice his precious beloved son, Isaac. And then Abraham saw a ram caught in the thicket by its horns, and there is the same word Vayeira is used there. And then what happens? Abraham names the place the Lord sees, Adonai Yireh. Now, funnily enough, that word there for the name Abraham gives that place, Adonai Yireh, it's translated in the King James Version, Yireh, in the future, that he will be seen. And in the Jewish publications, it's translated, he is seen there. So whether he sees, is seen, will be seen, they're all true of the Lord in that place. He was seen, he is seen, he will be seen. And which makes me think of John, the book of John, chapter 8 and verse 56, where indeed Jesus, Yeshua, says, your father Abraham rejoiced that he was to see, lirot, my day. He saw it, hu ra'ah, there we get the past tense, and was glad. So that's beautiful. We saw there also the form lirot, where Yeshua said Abraham rejoiced that he was to see. Lirot is the infinitive form of the verb. And just to mention this, we'll do it again. There's always the lamed for the infinite form of the verb. Lirot, lichtov, to write. lish'ol, to ask, lilmod, to learn. So there's just to hear that little pattern again of the infinitive lir'ot, lilmod with the lamed. But let's go now to the vocabulary. If you have your sheets printed out, I hope. The vocabulary from this lesson, and Vayeira. To see, lir'ot. He saw, hu ra'a. I see. You can say if you're a man, ani ro'eh, and if you're a woman or girl, ani ro'a. Ro'a. A is usually the feminine ending. Ro'a. Kotev, we were talking about. Remember? Hu kotev, he kotevet is the feminine. And there you have kor'eh, read. So the feminine would be kor'et, actually. To visit, you have the word boker, which is almost the same as morning, actually, but a visit is bikur. So it's the similar letters, boker, but the emphasis is more on the second. If you want to say morning, boker, the emphasis is on boker. So to say good morning, here's a good phrase to learn, boker tov. Tov is good, so you say boker tov. But for visit, it's boker. So there we have the noun. Bikur is visit, coming from the same roots. There you see the boker, bit kuf resh. You have bikur, visit. You have visit, boker. You have morning, boker, and we in there, boker tov. Good morning. But now, if you are in a country where or an area where you now have sunlight, you can say boker tov, Keren. But I am now in Jerusalem. It's nighttime, so it's Laila. So I would say Laila tov. And that's what we'll do now to end the lesson. Say Shalom and Laila Tov or Boker Tov. Shalom, shalom.